And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bashing us, him.
All right, we're live.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's 8:05 Eastern Time, and of course, Pacific Time, 5:05 in the morning. Long week. Well, it's been a long 2 weeks, brother. I finally got a couple hours sleep. Monday and Tuesday, it was like driving, and man, I had no idea what was going on. It was just a blur. But finally got a couple hours sleep. So, how's everybody doing? Top of the morning. I see friends and listeners to the podcast here already. Of course, Nighthawk 13666 already doing roll call. I appreciate everybody that's here. John, let's get into it, brother. This is some big stuff. I think there's a lot more behind the curtain here. What do you think?
Yeah, so, we titled it about Diddy being denied bail, but honestly, I don't give a shit. That's exactly what he deserves. We'll get into the whole indictment. We'll bring in Damian Williams' statements. We'll bring in a lot of other stuff, but I don't think we really give too much shits about celebrity news and all that, but it ties in a little bit. It ties in a little bit with this corruption scandal that we're facing in New York City. But before we get into that, if anyone doesn't know, Marco Kepi, he's an NYPD police officer. He's a United States Marine. He's running for state senate in New York and in Staten Island. And guess who the PBA endorsed over him? Let's guess. A Democratic candidate who supported the defund the police movement, who cheered when Congressman, then at that time, Democratic Congressman on Staten Island, Max Rose, went to a Black Lives Matter protest in front of the 121. So that's who the PBA decided to support over an actual NYPD officer and a United States Marine, conservative. Eric, what are your thoughts being a Marine, being a cop? Does this sound normal?
First of all, before we go into it, I just got to laugh. Good morning, Charlie Papa 23. I don't know if it's a friend listening to the podcast or or a troll says, anyone for a little day drinking, take a shot every time Eric says impropriety. Anyway, listen, it's no shocker right now by the PBA. They're completely woke. They're completely progressive because it panders to their self-serving needs, and it's all about political benefit and financial benefit. And that's why I've been asking the cops right now, looking at paychecks and ask yourself, why am I paying these dues? And I constantly hear the debate, but you actually have to look at it. Your medical, your inpatient, outpatient medical is provided with your contract without the unions. What you get from the union right now that you may say, well, I can't retract from the union, is your dental and your prescription plan, and also your little newsletters and your representation. But do you really need that representation? Because if you're in a legitimate pickle or jammed up on the job, you're going to pay for your own attorney. It's going to be outsourced. And I've done the research. Check it out. The dental plans and prescription plans that are on par with what the PBA gives you, they're not expensive, and probably the same thing or maybe a little bit less of what you pay in your union dues. So this is something to start thinking of, because they're not pandering to you. They should be serving you, but they're serving their needs. Because if they were serving your needs, they would be voting the right candidates.
I mean, so again, we're seeing no one's endorsed Donald Trump yet to this point, but we're going to endorse some bullshit state senate race. No one's endorsed the clear-cut law and order public safety candidate, the one who's going to support New York City's. Nobody, and they're so tied into this Democratic political machine that they're endorsing people who work directly against the health and wellness of their members, that work directly against the safety of their members, that work directly against the safety and health and wellness of their members' families as well. So they're so tied in. It's honestly, it's heartbreaking to see, man. I'm like, I thought that listen, I knew Hendry was just another little PBA, was going to follow whatever Patty Lynch told him to do. I kind of knew that. I was like, yeah, whatever. But I thought that with all the eyes on everybody now, they would be a little smarter. And obviously they're not. Obviously they don't care about the rank and file of the NYPD. They still Their main goal is self-serving. Their main goal is them. I mean, this is a joke. This pitch is a joke. You have a cop, or you have a Staten Island resident who's a cop, who's a Marine, and you don't even give him an endorsement. You go for someone who supported the defund the police movement, And yeah, of course. Oh no, look at her tweets. They're all fine. They're all fine the last 2 years because everybody's tweets are fine the last 2 years. But we're talking about when cops were getting trashed in 2020 and everybody was jumping on the bandwagon. And, that shows character. That shows who you truly are. That shows who you are. And so you know what that tells me? When something happens again that's politically unfriendly, this person that the PBA endorsed, this person that the PBA gave your money to, she's going to turn her back on you again. And that's who they endorsed. So great job, PBA. Hendry, you suck.
Yeah, first of all, I was thinking the exact same thing. All right. We have Pat Lynch as the president of the PBA for many, many years. And where did Pat Hendry learn from? From Pat Lynch. And he's following in the exact same steps. The only difference between Pat Hendry and Pat Lynch is the appearance and the silver tongue that Pat Lynch had. That's the only difference, because Pat Hendry was signing the same checks for 20-something years under Pat Lynch, doing the same thing then that he's doing now, endorsing these Democrats that have no benefit to the needs of the police department, for the members of the police department, but it's all self-serving. If you look at the history of the PBA, it's always self-serving. It's about them. John, you know what I say it all the time. Pull their appearances, put them out in the street with a gun belt and a body camera that they got the increase raised for, that they never had to don. You could see a big difference. You'll see. So that's why I say at this point, analyze where are the union dues going on the phone and start hounding them. They work for you. You don't work for them. And at some point, we have to make that a realistic movement. And
we just lost Eric. His Starlink is working wonders already today.
Oh, my God. I checked also. I had no obstructions, but of course, here's a technicality. It's been a little crazy weather over here on the West Coast. But listen, someone makes a great comment here. It's exactly what I was thinking. In Franco, let me get to it right now. FOP with 300,000 members already endorsed Trump, for crying out loud. PBA silent. I mean, this is the largest police unit in the entire country. And at the fact they haven't not made the endorsement, it says a lot to me. It speaks volumes. It should be a no-brainer. This is the horse to pick in this race. And the fact that we haven't got to that point, that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, is Kamala Harris even a thought for the PBA? That's a huge problem.
Obviously they are, and they're a thought for the DEA as well, and the LBA and the CEA. So I don't know, man. It's really heartbreaking at this point. Let's read this article a little bit. We have to go with what we know. PBA law enforcement unions endorsed the Staten Island candidate over police officer opponent. State Senator Jessica Scarella-Spatten, Democrat, officially receives endorsements for re-election from 5 law enforcement agencies, including the PBA. Dozens of city officials and officers gathered with the senator on Forest Avenue to offer words of praise and support in her election battle against Republican Marco Kepi this fall. I mean, just that alone bothers me. Just that alone, because this is not your granddaddy or your parents' Democratic Party. It's not. I mean, go online, watch what they're saying, look at what they're doing. This is not that. We endorsed her right away. We even knew a police officer was deciding to run for office, but from the beginning, Jessica was a fighter for us. She was there for police officers. She understands what police officers are going through on a daily basis. She's trying to get us a better quality of life for police officers, and that's what we're about, PBA Pat Hendry. Her ultimate goal is to try to keep the people of Staten Island and all areas that she covers and all New Yorkers safe. So, I mean, again, when the shit hit the fan in 2020 and your own family members were throwing up black squares, because I know mine were, and all your friends and your wife's friends are sitting around and saying, oh, you guys, that didn't need to happen. You guys are terrible. And I'm like, well, I don't even know what you're talking about. Something happened in Minnesota 5,000 miles away. What are you talking to me about it for? What does this have to do with the NYPD? What does this have anything to do with policing as a whole? Why is Paw Patrol being canceled? What is going on in this country? The PBA endorsed a candidate that wanted to get rid of Paw Patrol. The PBA endorsed a candidate that was sitting there cheering on, at that time, Max Rose, who was marching in a Black Lives Matter protest in front of the 121 precinct where they were calling to defund the police. Unreal.
Yeah. I don't understand, first of all, how the PBA could say that this is the candidate that actually supports them, that this is the candidate for the PBA. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Everything that you just read is pretty much nonsense. You can take it and everyone could wipe their ass with it. It's total bullshit that comes from the PBA. Again, half the times when I see Pat Hendry stand there or anything that comes out of his mouth, it's just complete hogwash. He repeats the same thing over and over. He's a man that lacks complete substance. And again, this is an entire board that is serving themselves and completely not serving the needs of the members. It's a no-brainer right now. Again, it's a no-brainer of which horse to pick in this race. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're not picking Donald Trump, especially after a second assassination attempt. I mean, if this is not a plight on what's going on with law and order in this country right now, and if you talk about the public safety for the men and women with their boots on the ground, how can we even have any discussions about Democrats at this point? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't find myself anywhere far to the left. And it's funny, everyone assumes we're far to the right, especially our trolls and our haters. But that's absolutely not the case. I find myself somewhere in the middle. And what I do is I find myself being American. And if there was a Democrat that was pro-America, pro-law enforcement, and pro-common sense, I would have no problem with endorsing that candidate. But right now, every Democratic socialist in this entire country, for the most part, and the overwhelming majority, is moving in lockstep, and it's all about globalism, and it's completely defund the police, abolish the police, and move to this federalization of police. So the PBA is out of their minds and absolutely not serving the needs of the PBA. Amazon, and good morning. $9.99 to the podcast. Thank you so much. Great friend to the podcast. Great friend in general. Good morning, True Tellers. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
So, all right, let's finish up this article. This marks the second time Kepi, newly graduated from the New York NYPD Police Academy, has been snubbed by what would have been vital political allies after the Staten Island Republican Party did not offer him their endorsement. Now, Marco, let's first off, I already said that if I ever decided to run for office, I would not interview with any of these police unions, nor the Staten Island GOP. I would interview them if they reached out, and I would decide if I would accept their endorsement, because I don't believe they're even people. Like, I don't even believe the endorsement at this point matters. I don't. So I'm just going to get into that quick. I think the true endorsement that matters is the endorsement of this podcast. I think that is more speaks to who represents the rank and file and the sentiment of the rank and file when it comes to the elected. So the PBA endorsement's whack. I wouldn't even ever seek their endorsement again. Let them endorse the lefties who are going to work directly against them, and point it out to them. Because more than likely, even if they wanted to endorse me, more than likely, if I ever decide to run, I will not accept it. None of them. The SBA, the LBA, I won't even demean myself and go sit down with an interview for them. Same's true for the Staten Island GOP. Nicole Maliotakis, how many times did she flip-flop on Trump? I don't remember. 2, 3, can't remember. Lost count. Flip-flop out there showing her card while she was fighting the mandates by going out to dinner. Joe Borelli, another guy who is fighting for you by saying absolutely nothing and hiding in the shadows, and now he's talking about running for mayor. Joke. Absolute joke. So the state assemblyman, I mean, I think that they more align with Democrats than anything. They say absolutely nothing. They do absolutely nothing. The entire process that is the entire team that is the Staten Island GOP is their progressive light. They should just call themselves the Staten Island Progressive Light Party, because that's what they are. They're a friend to nobody. They're a friend. They sold us out in 2020. Not only the NYPD, but all the people who stood up for medical freedom, all the people who stood up in this country for religious freedom, all the people who stood up against tyranny. They turned their back on, and they went out and they sat there and they told you we're against mandates. Yet the mandates happened and they did nothing but go out to restaurants and show their cards. They told you they're against camera lights, and they were fighting to get rid of the camera lights. And when I pushed every single one of them, they all pointed fingers to each other. Oh, no, it's not me. It's on the state. It's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. And what's happened? Go drive on Staten Island now. I own a home on a residential block in Staten Island. It's pretty far from school. School's not right there. There's a speed camera on my block at the corner of the block. I'm like, this is a residential block. It's not near a school. Why is there a speed camera here? Why would there be a speed camera here? And by the way, the speed camera does absolutely nothing to deter people from speeding. They just slow down. Once they get past the camera, they drive like animals. Because if they really cared about people not speeding, they would put a speed bump, which I requested numerous times, because it's a rather large block, and it's a cut through between Highland Boulevard and Father Capitano. So when I requested a speed bump numerous times, because I said people come driving down here like animals. So instead, we got a camera light that does absolutely nothing. We got a camera light after David Carr and Joe Borelli campaigned, both the Staten Island GOP members. They both campaigned that they were going to vote for me and we're going to get rid of camera lights. Vote for me and we're going to get rid of camera lights. So as we vote for them and the camera lights rise up, I reach out to both of them. I say, hey, Joe wasn't in my district. David Carr was. But I put them both on the email. I said, hey, what's going on with these camera lights? We have more of them. We have more of them than any other borough in the city. Is this my reward for voting for you? So they respond back to me and they're like, oh, it's not us. It's our partners at the state level. So I instantly send them their campaign material where they say, vote for me if you want less camera lights. And obviously it goes dark. So they brought in people from state assembly on Staten Island GOP. Staten Island assembly members on state GOP said, oh, we're fighting to stop the camera lights. So I said, okay, what exactly are you doing to stop the camera lights? Like, what does fighting look like? How does that look? Like, what's the process? And the conversation went completely dark and no one ever answered me.
Well, the same thing that you just said, which I agree. What does fighting look for? What does opposition to cameras look like? Goes for the PBA also. What does support look like for the members of the New York City Police Department? What does that always look like? Because that's always my question. Your question, and I agree. What does it look like when you're actually fighting with the Democrats with these ridiculous cameras out there, which pretty much I can tell you right now I've traveled throughout the entire country and I've traveled all over the world in my retirement. Sometimes I say to myself, how did I live in New York City? How was I cop there for almost 20 years? It's like living in a prison. You know, most places there's not a camera on every corner and a speed camera on every corner, red light camera, and you have to drive 25 miles an hour. It's a prison. I mean, it's pretty much impossible. If you just drove normal in New York City, it's impossible to not go an entire day without getting a ticket. It's absolutely the most ridiculous thing. It's a prison. But again, I like to put that on parallel and just say, when it comes to the PBA, what does it look like when you support the members? Because you can't even support a candidate that supports your regular file. To me, that just mirrors the image in the fact that they're supporting themselves. It's very self-serving. Again, we've said this many months ago. It's time to get these union members out. We need new blood if we're going to continue on with this process of having unions. Again, where are these union dues going? And don't be shy to active members of the service. If you're a PBA member, if you're actually a friend and listen to this podcast, don't be shy. Call them up, bust their chops, ask them, where are my union dues going? Why are we endorsing these candidates that are in opposition to police, that put out anti-police rhetoric? What's the benefit for us? Tell them straight out. We know what the benefit is for you, but what's the benefit for us? Again, we really need to explore this, and we need to have these conversations. Where are these union dues going? You're paying a substantial amount of money per year, per member, almost 20,000 union members that are paying over $100 a month. Do the math. It's millions for the PBA. Where are those millions being invested to? Because it's not being invested into your best interest. How are you getting served? Where's the opposition to the Civilian Complaint Review Board? Where is the opposition to the disciplinary matrix? Why do we get to the point that cops are actually being convicted? And the point that we're actually endorsing candidates that are in opposition to the police. First of all, this is a no-brainer. This is still, we have a Marine who's also a police officer. He served his country, he served his city. How can we even find a candidate that's in opposition to that? Unless there's something clear as day to show that that police officer, that Marine should never have been in that uniform. I can't see why we're doing an endorsement that is polarizing to that. Again, ridiculous. Get rid of all these PBA members, especially Pat Hendry. He's a bum. Get that bum out.
So I just removed some dude from the chat. I don't know who he was, for reason or whatever. So if you're still listening to this, listen, we're not going to let anyone come on here and just spew blatant racism. Absolutely ridiculous. I know what your game is. We've seen it time and time again. I let basically Juju say whatever the hell he wants. I've never banned him. He talks shit about me and Eric all day long. He says somewhat racist things to me and Eric, about me and Eric. But, I mean, we're fine with that. But if you're going to come on here and start slandering blacks and Indians and everybody else, you're out, dude. So, you know, anybody that wants to do that, this is a free speech platform, but we're not going to be disrespectful to women and just spew blatant racism, because this is the new game. This is what everybody's been doing now, is coming on this platform and trying to paint us as a racist platform. So they come on here with these fake names and they just spew and say terrible things about everybody and anything to try to paint us and you who are listening to this as racist. So I've never banned anyone on my Twitter. I let them say what they want and expose themselves. But I don't want you guys to get harassed in here. So for real, smarten up. And if you're going to come back, be respectful to everybody on here. It's absolutely ridiculous. So no, and if you absolutely didn't get baited, we're going to talk about Diddy not getting bail. I'm sorry. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I saw this article and I'm just like, I'm like beside myself, because it's just more of the same. And this is the Democratic machine in New York City. This is the Democratic machine that basically everyone on the opposite side, everybody on the opposite side is that's supposed to be standing up for you is actually working with the enemy. Juju says, stop censoring Juju. I never censored Juju. Juju, you could, you know, and Matt Bryan says, thanks. That dude was annoying. You know, AJ said, I was wondering who it was. Everybody's asking for him to get rid of him. He was a piece of garbage. Honestly, I don't care. And whatever his name is, you could unfollow us and never listen again, or hit the dislike button. We could kill us. Absolutely ridiculous. Sick of that shit. But yeah, let me bring in some Diddy stuff. But yeah, Eric, sorry, I just
no. Actually, I saw some of the comments at the beginning, and you know, I'm pretty tolerable of negative comments and trolls. And you know, I always say it. I love my haters, and so do you. And I don't mind if they even say racist things to myself or John. But when they start to create a hostile environment for our friends and listeners to the podcast, and really what they're trying to do is sabotage our episode, at some point they got to go. Absolutely. So, you know, listen, we're going to support our friends and our listeners, and we're not going to let anyone sabotage this episode so we get the information out. Juju is just a troll, but Juju, he might be a hater, but he actually loves us, and that's why he's here on a daily basis. I think he actually enjoys the podcast, and if actually at work, he's in opposition to the podcast, but I'm pretty confident at home, he and his family probably watch the podcast together. What do we get? A great quote sometimes. It's woke in the streets and mag in the sheets. Well, that's pretty much when it comes to Juju. But again, we're not going to tolerate racist hostility that's going to sabotage the podcast or the episode. They could, you know, go find themselves another place to go. I never blocked anybody either. I blocked one person, and for the same reason, because it was some stuff that was pretty much anti-Semitic and it was racist. So it was a waste of my conversation. That was Rabbi from Cop Watch. That's the only person I ever blocked. Anyone else, I'm the same thing. But when it starts to get to that point, it's completely unnecessary. Like, I believe opposition meets opportunity, but at some point you got to cut the head off and say, take care. All right, let's get right into this.
All right. So Damian Williams Works out of the Southern District of New York. He's the U.S. Attorney. So he's the one that's actually sparking this investigation against the NYPD, against New York City mayor and his cohorts. We'll bring in a lot of that stuff too. But I don't know, man. I got to be honest. Damian Williams is a scary dude, bro. He's not playing around. I don't know his political background. I don't really care. He seems to be someone that's no joke. So I'm going to play a few minutes of the indictments. I won't go into the questioning part of it, but this is what he's got to say about why Diddy, or Sean Combs, AKA Diddy, was arrested, why he was indicted, what they indicted him on. And then just a further note, he was later denied bail, which is something we rarely see today, even with known criminals, never mind a well-known figure like that. And I listened to this yesterday. It was honestly disgusting. So for those of you that haven't listened to it, I think it's going to be a shock for you. So, all right, let's play a little of Damian Williams. Let's let him read out the indictment, and then we'll pull away after when the questions come.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software
What the hell? Sorry, people.
where you can manage everything and anything.
Going to get him out. And it's an honor
What
that
the
you're here. If
hell?
you'd like to take some questions.
I want to let everybody know this is not an advertisement.
Yeah. What the hell just happened?
Listen, I'm glad you're the one working it because I'm a caveman when it comes to putting these videos up.
For some reason that the thing won't let. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I'm sorry. This is actually pretty funny. Juju says, John, get the YouTube premium.
Yeah, right. I actually do. I Juju, this is gonna be the first piece of advice I take from you. I'm going.
Hey, Juju, can you donate to my stalling, please?
And I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District of New York.
Here it goes. Sorry about that.
Today, I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video and later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance. Because of all of this, the indictment alleges that the victims did not believe they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse. The indictment also alleges other acts of violence undertaken by Combs and others, including violence against witnesses to his abuse, kidnapping, and arson. The indictment alleges that on more than one occasion, Combs carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten victims and witnesses. Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff. The indictment alleges that those individuals facilitated the freak-offs. They booked the hotel rooms and stocked them with the supplies, including drugs, baby oil, personal lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. When the hotel rooms got damaged, they helped clean it up. They arranged for victims and commercial sex workers to travel for the freak-offs, and they delivered large quantities of cash to Combs to pay for the commercial sex workers. The indictment also alleges that they helped Combs cover up his crimes. During the March 2016 incident at the LA hotel that I mentioned earlier, a member of the hotel security staff intervened, and Combs attempted to bribe the staff member with a stack of cash to make sure that what happened was kept quiet. And as the indictment alleges, in late 2023, after public allegations were made about Combs's crimes, he and others pressured witnesses and victims to stay silent, including by making phone calls to witnesses and victims and giving them a false narrative of what they had experienced. And as alleged, Combs used others to help conceal his abuse by monitoring and preventing victims from leaving a location in order to hide their injuries, or by locating and contacting a victim who had attempted to flee. As part of this investigation, in March of this year, special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs's residences in Miami and Los Angeles. They also executed a warrant for Combs's electronic devices. During those searches, agents seized evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims. And they seized cases and cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs, more than 1,000 bottles altogether. Here are some of the items that we recovered during the searches. As you can see here, this is a drum magazine, large capacity, and it contains, I believe, 59 rounds. I mentioned as well, we recovered 3 AR-15s. This is a close-up shot of one of the AR-15s, and you can see right here, the serial number has been thoroughly defaced. Another picture of more ammunition and parts of 2 AR-15s right there. Now, I want to be clear about 2 things. First, this office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. No one should doubt our commitment on that. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York. Second, we are not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly. Anyone with information can call for HSI tip. I want to express my deep appreciation for the victims and witnesses who have used their voices and helped bring this criminal conduct to light. We would not be here without them. I also want to thank the dedicated case agents on the HSI Trafficking in Person Squad in New York. They have been with us since day one and have worked tirelessly on this investigation. They will continue to be invaluable partners to us. I also want to thank the incredible agents and analysts from SCNY who have also provided tremendous assistance.
All right. So Diddy is a freak.
That was
Tabitha, do you think that Eric Adams was at the freakouts? I do.
that was a powerful statement. And first of all, I think that statement was a little jab at Adams when he said that the key to the city was given 1 year ago, and now he's indicted by the Southern District of New York. That was a powerful statement, but it was also a jab at Eric Adams. Now, I just want to debunk any political theater when it comes to this indictment right now. So some people, I've spoke to some people and they're saying, well, this is an attack on the black man. If you haven't noticed, Damian Williams, he's a son of Jamaican immigrants. He was born in New York City, actually pretty much raised in Atlanta. So he is a black man himself. And I also heard, here's the other thing I heard, oh, this is an attack on Democrats of New York. It's coming from conservatives. Damian Williams is a Democrat himself. In 2004, he was working on the campaign of John Kerry. He's done many other things when it comes to Democrats. That is the side of the aisle he's on when it comes to politics. Also, I heard this is just a crusade to get Adams. Well, this is not his first time he's went after corruption. In 2023, he announced the indictment of a senator in New Jersey, in New York for the district. So just want to debunk some of those things right now that are going on with Damian Williams as we speak. I think he's on a pursuit here. He's also the first black U.S. attorney for the Southern District also. Let's get further into this.
So Damian Williams wasn't lying, right? He said a year ago, September 15, 2023, key to the city of New York. Mayor Adams awards key to the city of New York to cultural icon and music mogul Sean Combs. Now, prior to Combs getting this key, there was a lot of weird things coming out online to him, about him. You know, a lot of things were being said around him, a lot of rumors around him. I mean, I think he's been shrouded in scandal for many, many years, right? He kind of fell out of the spotlight for a little bit. It's rumored. No, it's not rumored. He was involved in a shooting at a nightclub when he was going with J-Lo. So he was involved in a shooting, and this whole thing was just weird that Eric Adams decides to give him the key to the city. And this is what New York City said 1 year ago about Diddy. So I have a few questions. Who in New York City, including New York City Mayor Eric Adams, has ever attended any parties of Sean Combs? And if they have, did they not find anything weird about what was going on there? You know, that's my question, is why did he get the key to the city last year? So let's just read what Eric Adams in New York City writes. New York City Mayor Eric Adams today awarded a key of the city to New York to legendary musician, entrepreneur, and philanthropist Sean Diddy Combs. Combs has produced and released countless iconic songs and albums over the last several decades. While discovering some of hip-hop's biggest names during his career, Combs has also expanded beyond music, becoming a leading black entrepreneur and major philanthropic donor to underserved communities. Sean Combs is the embodiment of the New York City attitude, a son of Harlem. Combs worked his way to the top, becoming a successful musical talent both in front and behind the mic, says Mayor Eric Adams. Despite all of his successes, Sean has never forgotten where he came from, giving back to the city, donating millions to underserved community, and supporting aspiring black entrepreneurs. Every step he takes, every move he makes, Sean Combs has proven to be a singular generational talent. For his contributions to music, his business, and philanthropy, I am honored to present Sean Diddy Combs the key to the city of New York. Receiving the key of the city of New York, the very city that molded me, is an honor and incredible moment in my life, said Sean Diddy Combs. From growing up on the streets of Harlem to the international stage, New York's energy and resilience has always been the backdrop of my story. This city has given me triumphs, life lessons, and love. Today, I accept the key, not just for me, but for every dreamer, every hustler, every artist, and every kid from New York who dares to dream big. The Mayor Adams and the city of New York, I promise to keep giving this city that made me. Thank you for recognizing my journey and my mission to uplift and empower. And let's continue to make history together. What do you think about that?
I think that there's definitely stuff behind the curtain. We spoke yesterday, and what did we say right away? Again, our assumptions were on target, on point. You and I both spoke. We said, well, this incident that happened with P. Diddy, it happened in L.A. So what's the connection and the nexus to New York? And right away I said, you know what? He probably transported these young girls through state lines. Now the question is, what is the connection to Eric Adams? Listen, I get it. We want to honor people. But why do we need to honor celebrities with a key to the city? What is your contribution to New York City? He's the nightlife mayor. He's the hip hop mayor. But what is your contribution to New York City? Your contribution is music. Listen, it's a nice gesture. It's great. But why are we not honoring service members? Why are we not honoring cops that have put their lives on the line, have faced extreme adversity? Why don't we give keys to the city in these aspects? But we're giving a key to the city that makes music. That's great. He's making money. Does he really need the key to the city? Again, you know what? Everything that Eric Adams does is strange. It's always off the cuff. It's all about nightlife. It's all about partying. But now the question is what is the nexus with P. Diddy and these freak parties to Eric Adams? Listen, there's no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. It's not a coincidence that the NYPD has a federal probe going on. Eric Adams has his phone removed about a year ago. And about a year ago, at the same time, P. Diddy is getting the key to the city, and now this indictment comes around. This is all connected. We just have to learn how. And it was Eric Adams at these freak parties. Is he taking part in young girls? We don't know, but it's starting to look that way. It appears to be extremely suspicious.
Yeah, it's very weird that there's a huge scandal breaking out in New York State, and the Southern District of New York decides to go over state lines to bring Diddy in and makes mention to it. He literally makes mention to it at the press conference. I don't think that was, I don't think that was by accident. I don't think it was by accident that he made mention to a year ago he got the key to the city. I don't think that was an accident at all. So there's a lot of chatter online about all this. I was curious what Hot 97 was saying about this. So this is the Breakfast Club, Hot 97 on iHeartRadio. Here's a clip from them. This is what they're saying about it.
Yeah, racketeering and sex trafficking. If he gets racketeering and sex trafficking for freak offs, it will be others involved.
Yes.
Like if you ever ran a train with Diddy, you're probably going to jail.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people were saying, that, that's possibly on those cameras because he had cameras in the crib. So people are thinking that maybe there'll be other people involved.
If you ever been butt naked anywhere with Diddy, or half butt naked with Diddy, and there was some women around or some men around that he told you were part of the party, you're probably going to jail.
Half butt naked is insane. All right.
If you possibly on any of those tapes, like Envy just said, that they seized from that house,
that's right,
you're probably going to jail when they start throwing that word racketeering around.
But we'll see what happens.
Hell, if you walked in a room and saw Diddy in there smashing Carl Winslow, allegedly.
What?
If Diddy flew Carl out, you might be going to jail.
Can we okay.
Why you gonna go Carl out there like that?
We going
Carl.
We'll be back with more, guys.
Just saying that racketeering ain't no joke.
For Carl. Pack it up for Carl.
All right. When we come back, we got front page news, and then EVE will be joined.
So what they're talking about there, Eric, you know who Carl Winslow is, right?
Family Matters, baby. Come on.
Family Matters. So there was some dude that said he was at a party, a Diddy party, and he heard screaming coming out of a room, like boom, 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 boom. And he was like, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I thought somebody was getting raped. He said, so he busted open the door and he saw Diddy behind Carl Winslow. They were both butt naked, and Diddy was giving him the business. And then he said that he ran out of that, and Diddy had ran into him later, and it was like, "Yo, you don't understand, man. You don't understand, bro. Like, don't judge it. It's like it's what I get off on what other men will do if I pay them for it." Real creepy shit. That came out a few months ago, actually.
You know what's interesting, right? What else is the theme that we hear, right? What was the theme that we hear on the Breakfast Club right now? Racketeering. And what's also the theme right now of the probe that's going on with the police department? Racketeering. Is there any coincidence? I think not. I definitely think that there's some type of connection and a nexus. Again, 1 year ago, P. Diddy gets a key to the city. About a year ago, Adams gets his phone removed. About a year later, here we are with a huge probe of the NYPD. There's a probe of Eric Adams. Everyone that surrounds Eric Adams has an extensive amount of sexual allegations. Timothy Pearson has 4 separate independent sexual allegations against him alone. Eric Adams has a sexual allegation against him. It's about 30 years old. It's impossible to prove or disprove. Just more shadow of doubt. And again, if this is true, I mean, we're going to see a lot of people wrapped up to this. We got to ask ourselves, first of all, human trafficking is huge that's going on in this world right now. But were they transporting young girls? Were they transporting 15, 16-year-old girls? We don't know. But it appears to be that way. That's what we're starting to see. And if that's the case, you know what? Throw them all in jail. Get these bums out. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, so let's see what the conservative media was saying about this. Let's see. This is Jesse Waters last night.
Diddy was arrested on sex trafficking and racketeering charges, and the judge denied him bail. Tonight, Primetime's getting an inside look at what Diddy's being accused of. What we learned could bring the whole music industry down and might explain how Diddy got away with it for so long. The feds say Diddy created a criminal enterprise that engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. At the center of Diddy's criminal enterprise, drug-fueled sex parties, they're called freak-offs. Diddy lured women into his world and then manipulated them to participate in highly orchestrated sex acts with male prostitutes while Diddy watched and pleasured himself. Diddy gave out drugs at the freak-offs to keep victims obedient and compliant. These freak-offs could last days. Victims were given IVs to replenish fluid and then keep going. Diddy was known for throwing star-studded parties, but we don't really know who came to the freak-offs. We do know if you didn't freak off with Diddy, there were consequences. Diddy would threaten to kill your career, or worse. If you didn't do what Diddy wanted, he got violent, punching, kicking, and dragging women by their hair. Diddy had complete control over his freak-off victims. He had control of their housing money. He even tracked their location. And Diddy filmed the freak-offs, so he had the video for blackmail. Diddy's freak-offs have been going on for 15 years. That's a lot of tapes. The feds had their hands on all of them. They raided 2 of his homes earlier this year and walked out with his computers. They also seized freak-off supplies, drugs, guns, and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube. He also had 2 AR-15s stashed in his bedroom with the serial numbers scratched off. Today, Diddy pled not guilty and offered up $50 million for bail, but the judge denied him. Diddy's staying in jail. The judge said he's concerned about Diddy's substance abuse and anger issues and said he was a flight risk. Diddy's lawyer says he's going to fight. Diddy had a lot of pull in Hollywood and Washington. Remember, Diddy was a Democrat community organizer for years, running the vote or die movement. Diddy's freak-offs were an open secret for insiders. Everybody knew about him. Nobody tried to stop him. This is a lot bigger than Diddy. You can't get away with 15 years of freak-offs without a little help. Did other music moguls get in on Diddy's action? Diddy's the one taking the hit, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. If Diddy flips, he could take the whole music industry down with him. Diddy.
Bam.
Listen, there's definitely a lot of people in on this. And the key factor to this is going to be those phones, those images, the images that are on these phones, who's on that phone, what audios they have, what visual have. That's going to be the key element to this case right here. Listen, there must be a lot of people in on this, and they've known about this for years, and no one ever spoke up. But now they're speaking out now about it. We got to find out who else is implicated in this. And again, timing's impeccable. John, I say it all the time, and I'm going to put my foot on it again. I do not believe in coincidence. Things happen on purpose. Things happen. They're destined to happen. It's impeccable timing right now for Damian Williams to bring all this up at the same time. Now we're waiting to find out how it ties in together. There's a tie-in by Eric Adams. That's the way it appears to be. And again, let's go back and just listen. When you listen to Damian Williams say, he got the key to the city 1 year ago, and now he has an indictment to the Southern District. That statement alone, I thought was a powerful statement. But if you actually listen to it, I think it's a complete jab at Eric Adams. It's almost like a subliminal message. And that's where I believe the nexus is. And I think he indicates it right there in that statement.
Yeah, this is disgusting. And honestly, it's disgusting. And like, where are all these people? Nobody has integrity. Like, this is what America's made up of. So not only did he do this to girls, he did this to men too, right? He did this to his artists, men. It's rumored that he would drug the guys. He would drug the dudes. Like, he would go there, you'd meet with Diddy, he'd drug you, give you a drink, he'd drug you, and then they would rape you. And then his whole house was camered up, so they have the tapes of that. And then he would say, all right, you're going to sign this deal, and he made you an offer you couldn't refuse. The deal was, if you either take this horrible music contract that I'm going to make all the money off of, or I'm going to expose the fact that you got raped by a bunch of dudes, or maybe you even enjoyed it because you were drugged up and you didn't know what the hell was going on. And that's what happened. So he paid male sex workers to come in. And to me, it's 15 years. There's probably thousands of people involved. And no one said a word. I don't know, bro. If I woke up and you showed me a picture that I just got raped in the morning, Puff Daddy's going to have a big problem. Puff Daddy's going to have a big, big problem. Because I'll tell you right now, not only am I not going to be silent, I'm going to be furious. Furious. Where are the men? Where is anybody to stand up? Even the women. Like, oh, he's a scary dude. He's a gangster. He's this. Okay. He just violated the hell out of you. And nobody's saying a damn thing because he's powerful, because he hangs out with Eric Adams, because he hangs out with Barack Obama. Like, this is the level that we're at today, that people are scared of this guy. A pimp by all means, a drug dealer, a terrible person. I mean, he's a demon. And he's a demon in every sense of the word. And like, to me, all this stuff, it's all biblical. It's all biblical. If you had strong faith in God, you ain't scared of this guy. If you had strong faith in God and you got mixed up in all this, you're not scared of him or none of his friends or any of that stuff. It absolutely disgusting. It's also rumored that what he would do is they would go out to the clubs and, girls like mixed drinks, right? So they would have the mixed drink, like whatever, the cranberry juice or whatever. That would be the date rape drug, right? So, and if you were a dude and you like mixed drinks, you like sitting there with the martini glass, you could have got caught up too, because they wouldn't tell you either. So they would drug that. They would put the juice in there, and then they would push it forward. And then when the girls came over, boom, they'd make you a mixed drink. They'd pop the bottle right in front of you, so you wouldn't think anything. Boom. But they'd use the juice at the table. The juice was the whatever, all the types of drugs they use, all the date rape drugs, and then that's what they would do. But think about all the people that are implicated in this, all the security people. Oh, by the way, it's being rumored that Cabal just got a big security guard job, a 7-figure security job out in Dubai. I don't know how true it is, but that's the rumor. I mean, who would you want if you're Puff Daddy to be in charge of your security? You'd pay somebody a lot of money that has zero integrity to do your security, right? Because they're going to have all seen this and nobody said a damn thing.
I'm so glad that you mentioned it. That was the first thing that came to my mind with all this. Absolutely, these celebrities, to actually have these parties, they had to have a team of security. And at no point did we ever hear anyone speak out. And it's almost like you could put this on parallel, which would happen with the mandate with the New York City Police Department. You know, I have to find the literature because I know someone will question me on this. But they say, and what I've heard, now let's see if I can find the literature, but this is what I've heard through conversations numerous times, that only 2% of a group actually speak out. And we can see it in correlation with the New York City Police Department when it comes to a mandate. And even further here, we have a huge group of celebrities that are afraid of Hollywood. They're afraid of this man because they're afraid of their careers. People are slaves to their paychecks. They're afraid to go down because it's self-serving. They're afraid to expose these heinous acts. First of all, it's disgusting. If you could go out there and rape, forget about just raping women and raping men, you're a disgusting animal. And just what has to actually be implemented to carry out these crimes, the amount of communication, how many people were involved in this, and knowing how devious it is. You know, this is not just an isolated rape of one person, that they're actually planning this out. It's all premeditated, how they prepare these drinks for men and women. And listen, let's be honest. This is beyond sex. This is about power. This is Diddy and his friends showing their power, that they have the ability to hold people captive. And that's what this is about. They're holding people captive sexually. And you know who else held people captive? Eric Adams held people captive in the New York City Police Department and other good agencies in New York City, where they had to make a decision to take that out or not. So you know what? It's funny, John, when you talk about medical rape, it's kind of the same thing. Eric Adams was raping people with the shots, forcing them to make a decision whether they're going to keep their job or not. And Diddy and his friends are having these freak-off parties, and they're raping men and women because it's all about power. These people are tyrannical. They enjoy power. They enjoy getting over on people. That's exactly what's going on with these people. They're absolutely disgusting. I can't wait to see them in jail. And if there is a clear nexus, and we find out there's a nexus with Eric Adams, and he's part of these freak-offs, let's see what these images have to show. And they're taking their power over on young girls and men. It's absolutely disgusting. And John, I agree with you. You know, I have a tattoo. I said it before on me: death before dishonor. I'd rather die before I live in fear of another man and someone else because you were raped. You know what? At some point, you have to expose that person to help everybody else. But because of your own self-serving needs and your own fear, that's absolutely terrible and it's disgusting.
Yeah, so Latina Brown also says that I heard former police commissioner Cabal landed a lucrative security position in Dubai, a 7-figure salary, allegedly. Must be nice. Listen, I've said it before. I've told everyone that ever knows me, you could have anything you want. You want to be rich and famous? You want to have millions of dollars? It's very easy. Just sell your soul, and you can have it all. You could have it all. I wouldn't trade places with any of these people. I don't care how big their pensions are. I don't care what big security gigs. This is what you're going to be dealing with. Tom says, what if these clubs with Cabal's brother was setting up recruitment and party for Diddy's freak-offs? Very possible. Very possible. It's not out of the realm of reality for me. If it happened, if the news came out tomorrow, I wouldn't be shocked. What about Barack Obama? Let's see what Barack Obama is. He going to be shocked? Let's see what this is.
Yeah, there you go. Y'all. Thank you. And I just want to say how much I appreciate Puff Daddy for doing the kinds of work that he's doing, because he doesn't have to do this. But this is part of what is important about giving back.
We applaud you, and I want to apologize for not sweating. But I do this so much. I'm so cool. I just want y'all to see everybody I'm interviewing is sweating. I'm not even touching my brow. I'm so cool, and I want to apologize. I ain't trying to make you look bad or nothing like that, but I'm just so cool. We
T-shirt. I tell you, if he was wearing one of those fancy designer clothes he's designing, he'd be sweating just like me.
Yeah, there you go.
Ego.
John, do me a favor. Only because, listen, we're pretty tired of all stuff, but get rid of this Davey VTV idiot, because he's disrupting the conversations from the friends and listeners for having conversations and putting out their opinions here on the podcast. Get rid of this loser.
I don't know where he is. I'll get to when I get to, I'll get him out. Davey, you're out once I get to you.
Davey, take care, brother. Loser.
So what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about Diddy with the former president of the United States here?
Listen, again, it does beg the question: did he take part of these free parties also? He looks pretty happy there. They're all smiling, having a good time, and that's the real question. Did he take part of these free parties also? I'm curious. And it's sad because it's unfortunate, but it's not it's not a racist comment. But I hear that there's a lot of kind of like down low when it comes to black men because of power, of taking advantage of other men. Not a racist thing, but just, you hear about these things as a sense of power, not about sex. And again, I think we're seeing it right here. It's just, this is disgusting what's going on. And everybody's just uplifting this complete demon right here. They're all demons if you take it apart. This is disgusting. This is despicable.
Davey TV is, hey, pigs, will you also put up the photos of Trump and Diddy? And he just keeps doing it over and over again. Dave, you're a loser. You're out of here.
Take care, loser.
All right, he's out.
Don't worry, Juju, you're still here.
Where are we? All right, here we go. This is Hillary Clinton and Puff Daddy. This comes in from Cafecito Break. It was shared by our good friends at Cafecito Break. It was shared by Nick Sotor, the king of X Spaces. Let's see what happens here.
We're not going to get into sophisticated politics. We're going to talk about a problem that we have in young America. Young Americans being disenfranchised. Only 36% of us have voted. And I wanted you to speak. You're one of the few politicians that young people relate to. And we wanted to just hear the message on why you feel it's important for them to vote this year. Young people that, and please talk to the people that are disenfranchised, that don't believe in the power of their vote.
Well, I really think that this year more than any other, young people have their entire futures at stake. When I go to the floor of the Senate to cast a vote, I'm casting a vote about what the economy is going to look like and what kind of jobs are going to be available, whether there's going to be health care, whether there's going to be good education. Every issue that you can imagine has a direct impact on how every young person watching is going to live his or her life. And so I would hope that this year, more than any other, people would stop and think, hey, do I want to wake up in 5 years and, have more violence in the streets than we do now, more homelessness, more people out of work, kids not even having a chance to get educated, hospitals closing down. This is a direct impact on their lives, and I believe your slogan, vote or die, is accurate.
Unbelievable how tied in this dude is in the Democratic Party. I mean, so no one knew what this dude was doing. No one knew. We have the highest levels of intelligence. The highest levels of intelligence. Nobody knows.
I hate this statement. When I hear all the time, to me at this point, of course, that's what I'm saying. All these people that know him, that have an intimate relationship with him, that no one has ever said anything. I highly doubt that all these people have the ability to work for the CIA and nobody's talking here. And they're exchanging information on their phones. They're texting images. I'm sure they're pretty confident about that. But what I despise the most is when people talk about disenfranchisement, that they're disenfranchised from voting. That's absolutely the most ridiculous thing. Have we not heard of the 15th Amendment? Because what he's trying to refer to is saying that young black men do not have the opportunity to vote. You have the 15th Amendment that gave African Americans the right to vote. I mean, first of all, it's the most ridiculous thing, but the 15th Amendment gives everyone the right to vote. So how are they disenfranchised? You have the opportunity to vote when you're 18 years old. That is a right. That's a privilege under the U.S. Constitution. That's an amendment. Everyone has the right to vote because of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. So this idea of being disenfranchised is just complete political theater. Again, he's a complete demon. Also, what's going on behind closed doors. They all know him. He's in contact with these people. Hollywood is a disaster. Dave Chappelle said it. Dave Chappelle said that that you're pretty much you're captive when it comes to Hollywood. We know what happened when he tried to get out of Hollywood. What happened to him?
Oh, listen. I don't buy any of that shit. I really don't. I don't buy. Oh, they're this. They are a cabal. New York City is a cabal. So what? So what? Like what you can't say anything? It's just complete fear. Like, and all the comments in here and all the nothing's gonna happen. The job always wins. Everybody could get away with everything. That's just all like the devil whispers, right? This is how these people, and I told you about this before, Eric, in private. And like, in Revelations in the Bible talks about who's going to burn in the lake of fire. And in the lake of fire, God names cowards first. And I'm like, that's weird. The cowards, the rapists, the idolaters, the murderers, they shall have their day, the second death, right? After you die, you're banished to eternity. And I'm like, why would you put cowards first? They're just innocent people. They're just innocent people, right? And it's like, nah, they're not. They're not, because all the people here, all the people that were involved in this whole scam, they let it happen because they were so self-serving that they let it happen, because it's not really about being scared. It's not really, there's fear in everything. There's fear in being nice. There's fear in being mean. There's fear in every move you make. It's not about being scared. Being a coward isn't just about being scared. It's about being self-serving. And that's what those people are. They put themselves before they put others. And that's why things like this and people like this are allowed to flourish in society. Eric, let's watch this disgusting video and then let's get your take.
My name's Ava. I'm a Scorpio.
No. What's your last name?
Ava Combs.
What's your other last name?
Ava Baroni.
Eva Baroni Combs? Yes, it's breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you. But you still have beautiful parents that you're my child also. But please tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided that he would like to be a caring man. So then
I don't even want to watch the rest of that. Eric, what do you think about that?
Dude, it's a disgusting, vile video, honestly, really. When you correlate it to everything we've been talking about today and all the information that we put out, talk about P. Diddy, talk about these free parties, and hearing that girl talk and calling him Papa Combs and how she was on the streets. If you just hear the small words that are in this video, but it's a big message. Papa Combs took her off the streets, and what we know now about this indictment of the free parties, it's absolutely disgusting. I mean, I don't even know how old is that girl there? She's about 12 years old. This is disgusting. And the way he has his arm over her, it's indicative to me the power that he has over her, that he gets to do what he wants with people. Again, I took a one-day course, an investigation course with the police department, and you learn a lot about body language. And when people put their arms over someone else, that shows power. It shows that he's in control. I mean, power over this little girl. It's absolutely disgusting, vile. And then you have that idiot in the background smiling, laughing at, you can see him almost like licking his lips and his tongue at this little girl. It's disgusting. These people are animals. And that's what this is about. Yes, there's sex involved and disgusting, taking advantage, but it's really the sex is correlation to power. That's what it is. Someone had made a comment here before, and I think it was Sherry. Here we go. Yes, it's Sherry. How do you change? Hold on, it's hard to see these comments. How do you change their minds? How do you change the narrative that people have? And they keep repeating the lie. Well, it's exactly what John said. Right? Because he and I both believe in this. I told John 2 years ago we started doing this together. I'm not a religious man, but I believe in fate, and I believe in honor, and I believe in morality. And we both agreed, because we started talking about the police department, how I've been waiting for that old white man to stand up and say, hey, listen, enough with this discrimination right now, and talk about the atrocities of the police department. But it takes perseverance and it takes strength to do that. And I said, I hate cowards. And that's how that conversation came up. And I said, I thought cowards were the worst form of man. And that's how it came up, that cowards are actually in front of rapists and murderers when it comes to the Bible. Because I agree with you, the weakness that cowards have, their weakness, their Achilles heel, is their self-serving needs. right? Because it takes character, it takes morality to put others before you put yourself, right? And isn't that the whole point of Christmas and holidays and birthdays? When you give someone a gift, right, there should be a sense of gratification because you're taking care of someone else before you put your own needs. But when it comes to cowards, they put their own needs first. They're more concerned about where their next dollar is coming from. They're more concerned about their own image. They're concerned about their own ego, which is why they don't speak up. And that's what's also on parallel with the police department, other law enforcement agencies. Why these chiefs do not speak out about the atrocities. Because, if I speak up, I'm going to lose that take-home car I have. If I speak up, I'm going to lose that beautiful gig I have. If I speak up, people find out how many favors I was given. And that's the other problem why they see opposition to this podcast, because we weren't taking favors. We stand up and we speak the truth. And that's what our friends and listeners do. This is a disgusting animal right here. And the fact that he gave him a key to the city, it's like here you go. You had the power, brother. And so do I.
Absolutely disgusting. I like nothing, right? Like just to the way he was talking on the video and the way that, like the way he was on that video with all the other guys in the background smiling. If that was my daughter or that was my niece or that was my wife or that was anybody I know or care about and I seen that video, Puff Daddy would have a huge problem. I don't care who he knows. I don't care who he's friends with. I don't care how powerful he is. That video told me everything that I need to know about Puff Daddy and who he is and what's going on behind the camera in the background. And everybody knows what he was doing in the background. Everybody knows what was going to happen after that camera got shut off. Everybody knows by watching that. And yet all these powerful people did absolutely nothing and allowed that. And there were people at that party that knew what was going to happen to that girl, and they did nothing to intervene. The man is a demon. So here we go. This is coming in from the Candace Owens show. She had played the Cassie video. We don't need to play it here. The Cassie video is he dated Cassie, I think, for like 10 years or whatever. And he beat the hell out of her in a hotel room in LA. And he dragged her by a hair, which he kidnapped her. And he did all these other things. And Cassie knew everything that was going on with him as well. And she never said anything. She finally got brave enough after years. Listen, I think she was a victim of abuse. I think, she was a domestic violence abuser. But that video comes out. And this is what Puff Daddy says about it. And you can see that now the fear starting to set into him. You could see he's like, oh my God, I pissed off way too many people and I'm going to start getting exposed. And all the stories are coming out. And 50 Cent, by the way, hates this dude. And if you got to see the 50 Cent post, they're hysterical. I saw one the other day and it was a dude riding a bike with no seat. And he goes, this is how Diddy rides his bike. And like he hates him. He's always made reference to this and he's gloating about all of this. So, but this is what Diddy, his apology about the Cassie video after it came out a few months ago.
To reflect on the darkest times in your life, sometimes you got to do that. I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry.
He's so sorry. Don't you believe him? I got to be honest, I'm struggling to believe him because, he at first denied all of her allegations publicly. He then quietly settled the case without coming forward and saying that anything that she had said was true. But then once the video became public, of course, he's a different man. Now he does remember beating her to a pulp, and he does remember then going to rehab, allegedly, for having beat her to a pulp. And now he is just so disgusted with himself. Again, is there a buyer out there? Because I am not one of them.
Me neither.
I don't buy his bullshit. He's totally full of shit. Those are crocodile tears, to be honestly. Total full of shit because he got caught. But you know what this comes down to, John? This comes down to what we talk about. And our friends that listen to the podcast, I hope you agree. We talk about this. And you know what's interesting? I'm sure Juju will laugh, but we can talk about all these issues, how it's on parallel, what goes on with law enforcement, especially the NYPD. We did a podcast about a year ago, and John and I had named it. The title was Make the NYPD Masculine Again. And that's what we need. We need masculine, strong men and strong women that stand up and actually speak out about atrocities that go on in this country, whether it goes to law enforcement or whether it goes to some demonization like this, these sex pedophiles, just disgusting. Because if we had strong masculine men and strong women that spoke out and put their feet to the fire, this would not happen. But because people are weak, and they're weak because of their self-serving needs, they're weak because they need fame, they're weak because they need fortune, they need P. Diddy because P. Diddy's going to give them a career. It's more important that they have money, and that's how these things are allowed to fester. That's how P. Diddy was able to carry this out. But did he carry this out alone? That's absolutely a farce. There's no way that he did this by himself. And that's what we're waiting to find out what's going on with this indictment and what connection it may have to New York City. What people in power. Because, John, let's be honest. And even though just on the celebrity level, for him to carry out these crimes for so many years and to actually traffic people through state lines, especially young girls, and him to buddy up to these politicians, there had to be politicians that knew about it and helped him facilitate this, to carry this out for so many years and not face any charges at some point. Because I find it hard to believe that everybody is weak, that nobody at some point in 15 years that no one ever spoke out, and it took to this point that we actually are cracking down on this. This is shameful. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, not only do we know that politicians, they partake in these parties. They were in these parties. So if Puff Daddy kills himself, I'm going to say right now, Sean Combs did not kill himself. Because I think he's going to rat, because you see how scared he was just in that video. But so now, how does this all tie into everything that we've been talking about? How does it all tie in? That's the question, right? Because I think everyone here thinks that somehow this ties into the investigation in New York City. So I watched this right before I went to bed last night, this Candace Owens show, and I thought it was brilliant. And, I don't really watch anyone. I don't watch Candace Owens. I'll skim things. I'll look at anyone. But I think that this is something that we should hear. I'm going to play this video. It's a couple of minutes. I'm not going to play the entire thing, but you guys are going to see what I'm talking about and why this potentially could be linked to the scandals that we're seeing around the NYPD and around the Adams administration.
Allegations. That producer's name was Rodney Jones. He goes by Lil Rod. And yes, he was one of Diddy's producers. He stepped forward and dropped really what can only be described as the mother of all bombs in the form of a lawsuit, not just against Diddy, but also against Universal Music Group. And why I'm describing this as the mother of all bombs is because he included pictorial evidence of what painted the picture of a homosexual blackmail ring. Okay, so using sex, collecting blackmail on certain individuals in the industry so that you can therefore control him. Now, there were a lot of stunning pieces of evidence in that case filing, but I will tell you that for me, the heaviest allegation that I thought, if I'm just reading this, this seems very valid, came in the form of pictures from a scene in which Little Rob describes Diddy having allegedly, along with one of his sons, potentially shooting someone. The producer says that he was in the bathroom right when it happened, next to the shooting, that he was terrified as he was in the bathroom. And when he came out after Diddy had shot someone, he was tasked with cleaning it. He, again, produced a picture where you can see blood all around. You can see paper trying to clean up the blood. And you just go, okay, all of these paper towels, all of this blood, what then happened? Well, he says that everybody that works for Diddy is instructed that if they ever get themselves in this sort of a situation, there's a cleanup guy that you're supposed to call. He named that man as Fahim Muhammad. And Fahim Muhammad will then get the correct LAPD officer over to the scene to produce a fake police report. Very strong allegations, right? And you might go, oh, wow, well, maybe this producer's telling the truth, maybe he's not. Well, what he then shows is that despite the fact that someone in those pictures, at least if those pictures are to be believed, was shot inside of a recording studio, the LAPD police officer took down a report of a drive-by shooting. And then subsequently, the next day, the media, or in the coming days, reported a drive-by shooting. But of course, he's saying that's not what happened at all. They know that's not what happened at all. But clearly, this ring has a lot of power. They've got police officers on their payroll. And by the way, in the event that you believe that that's an implausibility in LA, then please do what I have been begging you all to do and read that book, Chaos, because it is exactly that. It describes a network of police officers, prosecutors, and of course, media members who are on the inside of these sorts of things. It describes very much a ring that took place when the Charles Manson, quote unquote, murders happened back in the 60s. So we're just bringing this forward in the form of the Diddy case, the same exact allegations. And most shocking of all was that man, Fahim Muhammad, which I showed on my show, was also one of two people that was there when Michael Jackson died. Yes, one of two people that was there. Somehow that guy was very young when Michael Jackson died, but got this job as the top security person for MJ. And now he is working as a top security person for Diddy. It, again, as I brought up, leads people to revisit those questions and the things that Michael Jackson was saying towards the ends of his life when he was also describing a ring of people in Hollywood. Essentially a gang that is running Hollywood and a gang that he said was pursuing him, a gang that it is believed lied and convinced the public that he was a pedophile, despite the fact that he was found not guilty of those allegations. Essentially, because he was going after them, they began going after him, if you believe that. Now, again, I find it very strange that this character, Fahim Muhammad, would have contacts, allegedly, with the LAPD. And the media just doesn't seem interested in that whatsoever, despite, again, an overwhelming amount of evidence being supplied in the form of pictures. What the producer describes, by the way, is that Diddy was the person who was supposed to have these parties to invite young artists, to drug them without them knowing that they were being drugged. They think they're drinking, there's drugs. And then he would get them to commit sex acts. Now, whether that was against women, whether that was against men, once he would be recording them, having done these sex acts, he would then forever control them. Again, a blackmail ring that sounds exactly carbon copy to what Jeffrey Epstein was doing to politicians, right?
So, right there, Eric. Right there. If you needed to find police officers who would help you cover up crimes, if you needed to find politicians to cover up crimes, you're not just going to go to LA. You're going to need that in New York. Who in New York City do we think has low integrity and would be willing to work with us for money in exchange for favors and celebrity? I don't know.
And what do we know, right? LA Police Department is like the sister police department to New York. For years, LA and New York have mirrored each other in the style of policing, similar type of metropolis, similar type of fame and fortune. You have celebrities that occupy Los Angeles and New York. Very similar, right? Except the subway system. But LA was plagued with corruption for years. And so is New York, right? We talk about the default position of corruption. So clear as day, absolutely. I find that this accusation definitely has some teeth to it. I did hear about that. I think this was well done by Candace Owens. But of course, if we're going to transport people through state lines, and if we're getting a key to New York City, and that's our hometown, and if we're going to facilitate crimes in New York City, absolutely. What did I say before you even put that clip on? John, if you remember what I said, to facilitate this crime, you need a high level of communication and you need politicians behind you. That's the only way that you can facilitate this crime, to actually transport people state lines, and everyone keeps this hush-hush for so many years. So I believe that what we see in LA is mirroring what we're seeing in New York right now. Again, another shadow of doubt. The preponderance of evidence seems to be there, and we're going to see this highlighted very soon, and it appears to start to come together. These people are animals. P. Diddy, all the people that are involved, even some of the people, honestly, I get it. You're a victim of rape, and I'm sorry that happened to you. But the fact that you won't speak up because your self-serving needs to get a contract are absolutely ridiculous. That's why I always say power and strength to the women out there that make allegations of rape, and it's legit because you're standing up for other women. If you allow it and you don't stand up, well, then you're saying it's okay, and then you're watching it happen to someone else. So what good are you? So it takes strong women. It takes strong men to actually stand up to these demons. But again, we have cowards, and that's how these things get facilitated. Cowards, people that are money hungry, power hungry. You said, John, earlier that these people have power, right? They don't really have power. They have money. And we mistake in this country with money and power and money as the same thing, and it's not true. What happened just to the power? It's funny that you say that, John, and that's why I told you. So, you know what? I'm not religious, but I want to start to read the Bible myself because I see the empowerment of you, Mighty Fuzz, other good men that are really into the Bible, and I see the empowerment that you feel. So I want to read it myself because I believe you gain knowledge and always read. I want to understand what you guys think about it. And I believe that's where the power is. The power is in your self-worth and what you feel about yourself and how you treat other people.
So listen, so here's the thing. These are all allegations right now. I mean, I think there's an overwhelming amount of evidence. I don't for 1 second believe that Diddy's innocent of anything. I mean, just that video alone makes me want to go punch him in his face about 10 times with him with the little girl. So I don't believe that he's innocent at all. So, but whatever. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty, right? But he's a well-known figure. I don't think he's much of a flight risk, right? Because he's such a well-known figure. He offered $50 million, supposedly, to be allowed to get out on bail. But Damian Williams requested no bail, and that no bail was granted by a judge. Eric, if you were a judge, two things. If you were Damian Williams, would you request him being held on no bail? And if you were a judge, would you honor that request? And why?
Well, I tell you what, Damian Williams appears to be a fierce, smooth cat. He's on a hell of a pursuit right now, a pursuit of justice. And I do believe that if this comes to fruition, we're going to see him one day running for governor or maybe president at some point. This is going to be his legacy, and this is his gateway to a high level of politics. You and I spoke about it yesterday. It's kind of on par with Rudy Giuliani. We see the same movement right now when it comes to Damian Williams, as we saw Rudy Giuliani, and he ended up becoming the best mayor of New York City. I think at this point, for him to request no bail and the judge to honor it, even with that substantial amount of funds, is indicative that there's definitely a corruption scandal going on right now, and they don't want him out. And this is about to unfold, I believe, within days. I believe the fact that they didn't let him on bail is that this is going to unravel within days. If it's going to encompass just the New York City Police Department, will this also encompass people part of the Los Angeles Police Department, as we heard with Candace Owens? This may be a whole ball of wax. And again, if this turns out to what I believe, what my assumptions are, and the things that you and I talk about, John, offline, this may potentially end up being the largest corruption scandal, not in New York City, not in New York State, but the entire country.
100% agree. TC Purvey Huga, I don't even know how to say your name, dude, but he puts Matthew 18:6. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Matthew 18:6. It's a Bible verse. But whosoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and be drowned in the depth of the sea. Right? And that is basically what's happening, you know? And like I said, everything that's coming to light with all of these demons, I don't believe, you know, there's people that play a role on it. And I think that this podcast played a role in it. I think Sal Greco played a role in it. I think a lot of people on this chat played a role in bringing light to all the stuff, all the terrible things that are going on in New York City. I think everyone played a role in it. But I think ultimately there's a great reckoning happening across this country and in this world And this is our year. This is our year. Good. We've been watching evil for so long take hold, and everyone's got this spirit of apathy that nothing matters. And I think it's changing. I think, I don't think this is a Democrat versus Republican issue. I think this is truly a good versus evil issue. So yeah, Matthew 18:6. Like I said, they'll get there as one way or the other, and I've been saying that forever. Whether it's in this life or the next, I have no doubt in my mind. This is absolutely disgusting. Everything that's came out, just what Damian Williams told us alone, is absolutely disgusting. Anyone that was around Diddy. Now, I'm not saying because you took a picture with him. I think Juju's saying to show the Trump picture with Epstein. You can take a picture with anybody, dude. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you're hanging out with people. You're going to parties. You're in the background of these videos. And you are at one of these parties. You're probably losing more sleep right now than the upper echelon of the NYPD. You're probably losing more sleep right now than the upper echelon. That's even possible because, you know what? It's very possible that they're somehow connected to all of this too. Because if they had a fixer, if that's true, if this dude that Candace Owens was talking about was a fixer in LA, and he took care of all the problems, and he had all his LA contacts in LA with the LAPD, then there's a fixer in New York. And if there's a fixer in New York, that means there's a ring of dirty cops in New York.
This reminds me of the show Ray Donovan, right? He's a fixer. It's amazing, right? Also, Pulp Fiction, you got the guy, the cleanup guy. It's insane. Legitimately, they're living out a movie right now at this point. Again, to facilitate crimes like this, you need a high level of communication. A lot of people have to be involved that have positions of power. Does that mean they're necessarily powerful? Positions of power. And we can correlate this to what's going on in the New York City Police Department. That's why I say the entire upper echelon of the police department is infected and compromised. Everyone that attended these parties is infected and compromised. If someone went to these parties and did not like what they saw and left those parties and said they'll never come again, if they did not speak up about it, they're a coward also. They're infected. They know what they saw, and they never spoke out about it. And especially even further when it comes to the New York City Police Department. By God, you're cops. Again, that's why I always say they have to remove the ability for NYPD cops that report corruption to report it anonymously. You are a cop. You're supposed to take an oath. You're supposed to be a person of strength. You're supposed to have fortitude. You should not be permitted the right to report corruption anonymously. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's a coward move right there. If you're going to report corruption, you should give your name. And that's what we're doing right here. John McCarry, Eric Dim, Sal Greco are good friends and listeners to the podcast. You speak out and you give your name. You stand on your name. Your name should mean something and not hide behind it like Juju and other people. Put out your name. Don't hide from it. If you really want to speak up from who you are. Don't hide no more. And that's what these people are. They're just pure cowards. It's disgusting. Honestly, John, it's disgusting. Seeing that video of that little girl, you know what? If we could go back and you could just look at the way they're licking their lips and the way they're standing over on it, it's disgusting. These people are animals.
It's absolutely disgusting. So let's get back to New York City. All right, that's enough of Diddy. He's being held without bail, and I think 100%, I think that was the right call. He should be held without bail. He's an animal, and I think the reason that they kept him in is because they're not worried about him fleeing as much as they're worried about him destroying evidence, him intimidating witnesses, him making moves outside of the jail to kill and do all these other things to witnesses, as well as harm other people. Seems to be they got the demon. They don't want to let him out. Keep the demon in the cell. So I agree with them. I think that he should be held without bail. 50 million, 100 million, doesn't matter. Keep that guy in. Keep that guy right in. So now we're back. New York City. I put out yesterday. I can't tell you how many times I heard that Jeffrey Madry, chief of department, and Chief of Patrol John Shell are out. They will be retiring shortly. I had from several good sources that they were at 233 Broadway yesterday. Apparently, they did not submit their papers, even though that's what I put out. I said unconfirmed reports that they are at 233 Broadway filing for retirement. It doesn't appear that they actually did. Doesn't appear that they actually did submit for retirement, but I have no doubt in my mind that that's coming, and we'll see that shortly. I have no doubt. I don't think anything we've put out on this podcast hasn't been proven to be exactly what's going to happen. So whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's Friday, whether it's next week, whether it's 2 weeks from now, I have no doubt that you will see a different chief of patrol and a different chief of department. So that's it. And no, Juju, I am not changing my tune of my tweet. Again, I put unconfirmed reports, and I'm saying right now they're still unconfirmed, right? So that's that. But about an hour before I said that, and think about how much I'm not afraid of giving my opinion and telling the truth and telling what I hear. My sources have been very good. I mean, for the last 2.5 years, we've told you everything. We've told you Baki Chansul was going to step down. We told you that there was going to be federal receivership. We told you that Ed Caban was going to step down. We told you all of these things, right? We told you basically everything that's happened in lockstep. So, and about an hour before I put this out, this comes out from New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
I say, here's a person that we can put there and we can continue the great work we're doing. Because again, we talk about a bench. We got one hell of a bench there too. I mean, from Chief Madry to Chief Shell to Kaz Daughtry to Deputy Commissioner Kinsella and so many others. There's a real bench that we have in these city agencies. And so he was the right person to come in as an interim police commissioner.
So there was such a big bench. There was such a big bench, Kaz Daughtry, John Shell, Jeffrey Madry, that we picked an old white guy that I don't know. That's what Eric Adams just told you.
You got to love it. Listen, we have no idea what this guy's for or against. Everything he says, he does something completely opposite. Everything he says, he ends up stepping on his own toes. I mean, we could just play back when he said we have an image problem of the police department. A first of this, a first of that. And we came back full circle. We got the old white guy. We got the old male, pale and stale white male that he did not pick. He's no longer in charge of the police department because of the infection that's going on. If we have such a good bench, why did we have to get an interim PC that wasn't asked by prosecutors by a federal oversight right now through the Southern District? If we had such a great bench, why wouldn't we just put the bench in place? Why would we need an interim PC? This is just complete hogwash. I can't believe that we have to listen to the bullshit that comes out of this man's mouth. I'm so tired of the bullshit that comes out of his mouth. At the same time, don't get me wrong. You know, if we could get another 4 years of him, it's just great contact. Our friends that listen to the podcast keeps us going, keeps us laughing, and, keeps Juju pretty much motivated here. Absolutely ridiculous, the stuff that comes out of his mouth. It doesn't even make sense. And it's almost like, do people actually listen to the bullshit? Do you actually slow it down and listen to the nonsense that comes out of his mouth? It's the most ridiculous thing. What comes out of Eric Adams, he's just a complete liar on every level here. And again, John, of course, viral news, our bootlicker, our deputy commissioner of public information for the NYPD, as far as I'm concerned, that's what he is. He's the deputy commissioner of public information for the NYPD, blocking everybody that gives him any opposition, completely jumps on any statement that you or I put as a tweet of a rumor or unconfirmed statements of the police department. Look, we got some great sources that say Chief Madry and John Shell are out this week. There's no doubt about it, they're out. And if they're not, that's a huge problem also. How could they possibly function in this police department with an interim PC that can't trust the upper echelon of the police department? For the good order of the police department, how could they stay there? And, Eric Adams, if there's such a good bench, why are they not batting at this point? Why do we have a different batter if there's such a good bench? Are we really going to listen to this nonsense that comes out of Eric Adams? Unbelievable.
So it's day 4. Jeffrey Madry, John Shell, and Kaz Daughtry have not tweeted in 4 days. 4 days. Unheard of. These people couldn't stay away from their phone. They couldn't stop doing it. So for 4 days. And so that's the difference about this podcast that everybody's, oh, I need to get confirmation. No, we're going to tell you the rumors like we're hearing it. We'll tell you what we're hearing. And that's it. You don't like it? Don't listen. You don't like what I tweet about? Don't follow me. I don't ask anybody to follow me. I was tweeting when I had 0 followers and nobody was liking it. I'll be tweeting if I have 1 million followers and 1 million likes, or if I have 0 people following me and 0 likes. My opinion, I'm going to say what I want to say when I want to say it. And that's what I'm hearing. And by all means, it appears to me they're out. They're 100% out. And Eric Adams, this press conference is just like the press conference he held when Ed Cabal, when he said he stands behind his police commissioner 100%. And he's going to rock with him and all this other stuff. And then next thing you know, Ed Cabal stepped down. Pressure came in for Ed Cabal to step down. Now, if Jeff Madry, John Shell, had any integrity at all, they would have already left. Remember, because this was Ed Caban's police department. This was the honorable Ed Caban's police department. So if Ed Cabal had to leave, they should have had to leave. The school chancellors had to leave, should have to leave. The deputy mayor of public safety and Timothy Pearson should have to leave. But considering they have absolutely 0 integrity, it's not a shocker to me that they're looking to stay and they're like saw an opportunity like, hey, maybe I could be the police commissioner. But this guy's so full of crap. He's sitting there talking about how strong his bench is that he had to go appoint an old white guy who he doesn't know after he originally told us that his police commissioner needed to be a female. My police commissioner will be a female. And he did that. And then he appointed the first Latino police commissioner after she ran away. And why she ran away, we still don't know. Maybe she attended a freak party with them and was mortified. We don't know. We don't know, but we'll find out one day. One day the truth will come out why she left, and she left. And then he appoints the first Latino police commissioner, and he tells us that the NYPD has an image problem. You don't see the youth. You don't see the diversity. And now here he is telling you how strong the bench is, that he picked an old white guy who he doesn't know, who, by the way, wasn't asked from federal prosecutors. So I have no doubt in my mind that these people will all be leaving, and the upper echelon of the NYPD will look significantly different in the next coming days, if not weeks, if not months.
Listen, we're about an hour and 45 minutes into it. Shout out to our friends that listen to the podcast. We got some great comments here. We love you weighing in with us. It really gets everything going. Before I go any further, John, let's how many people are on right now? Let's like and subscribe, please. We appreciate it right now. Smash that button for us. But how many people we got going right now?
We got a little over 1,000. Probably got 1,100 in here. 1,049 people we got in here.
Thank you to the friends that listen to this podcast. Again, you know what this is? This is a podcast, right? We're not journalists. We don't have to have factual information when it comes to rumors. It's exactly that. We're allowed to think. We're allowed to give our opinions. And these are the rumors that we're hearing. They're good sources that Chief Madry and John Shell are on their way out. Juju says small podcast. You're right, brother. With big voices. And we got friends that listen to the podcast that get the voices out as well. Our opinions are important. Everyone here weighing in. What we see is just completely vile and disgusting. Even if this doesn't end up having a correlation and nexus to New York City, this is someone that should have never received a key from the city. And again, it also shows the bad judgment and the friends that Eric Adams surrounds himself with. Timothy Pearson, that bishop that was arrested, P. Diddy. Everyone that is in his circle, has a black cloud, has a sketchy past. But yet, are we going to say everyone in his circle has a sketchy past except for Eric Adams? And you know what? That's a good question. Did Key Chan Sewell see something at did she go to one of these parties and see something? Because I can tell you what, I could read a room and I could read people. She was never afforded the ability to actually be the police commissioner. She was a seated person that was treated as a puppet. That's why we did not get Carmen Best as a police commissioner. Carmen Best was offered the opportunity. She was the first selection, and she did not take the job because she knew she could not be in a position of authority, that she would just be a puppet and that Banks was actually going to run the police department. I appear. My assumption is that Keechan Sewell is someone that who's professional. She shows a good appearance, and that she did have the potential to be a police commissioner, but they never allowed her to. So the question again is, what exactly did she see? What did she hear? And why did she leave the police department? And the more and more that we see things happening, it appears to be that she had her eyes open and saw something that she did not want to see. And most likely, she's probably speaking out about it at this point. John, you just got a nice compliment. Too Smooth 56. John D. McCarry for police commissioner. Outstanding. I support that also. Thank you so much, friends and listeners to the podcast. Let's keep this going. Let's get this information out, and let's express our opinions. They're important. And you know what? An unconfirmed rumor is exactly that. It's unvalidated information, and we have every right to express what rumors we have. But I tell you what, we got good sources, and I'm pretty confident by the end of the week, you're going to see that John Shell is going to be eating his words. And when he said 233 Broadway is not where they're headed to, well, you will be headed there. But on your way, you may be stopping at 500 Pearl Street also.
Yeah, just so we're aware, Juju, yes, small but mighty podcast, 100%. Just so we're aware, I actually don't want to see them step down. It's going to be, it'll be a moment of not joy for me. I personally want 4 more years of Eric Adams. I would love to see the Dream Team and the Gotham Brothers excel and go right ahead because they are content machines. The memes make themselves under this administration. I personally, for my own personal humor and laughter, I don't want to see them go. And I would much rather, if they are involved in all the things that are being alleged, I would much rather see them get perp walked out of One Police Plaza than have them just retire and be allowed to collect their pensions. So it's not something that I want. It's just a rumor that we're hearing. The System Unfiltered says, Stephen Lee. Stephen, we got to get you on here one day. Hit us up. TC Perry says, keep growing, like and subscribe, share the channel. Thank you guys. It's just, it's honestly, it's disgusting at this point. I apologize if I'm not all there. I have a terrible migraine. We're going to get going in a few minutes. But before we do, I definitely got a lot of stuff from New York City Sheriff from the meeting yesterday at the sheriff's office. We're not going to get into it today. Maybe we'll bring that tomorrow. He testified in front of city council. It was absolutely horrible. The dude is just another appointment, Eric Adams. But I just want to break down this statement before we get out of here. Eric, this is like the most damning statement I think I've heard. So this is a meme, comes out from the king of memes, Alamo Defender 1 on X. It's a podcast meme, the finest unfiltered, baby. It's a meme, but it's Eric Adams' statement. So I'm going to play it now. You ready?
I follow the law. I've been a police officer. I know how important it is to follow the law. That's what I do. I think the people if I've had someone around me that I believe violated their oath of office, they would not be in my office.
All right.
You gotta laugh. Eric Adams is hysterical. Honestly, you should be doing entertainment and comedy. I want to thank Too Smooth also. Too Smooth 56 sounds like an active member of the service. Also and of course, Eric did for Chief of Patrol. I surely would have loved the job then. I don't think John Shaw would like that too much. But if there's any position that's available, I would like to be. And I mentioned yesterday, and I think John agrees, if they can make 2 positions for Deputy Commissioner Operations, that's the position I want. Kaz Daughtry, you got the spot, brother. That's the spot that I would want. Deputy Commissioner Operations. But again, this is hysterical. The stuff that comes out of Eric Adams' mouth is, honestly, you can just play them back. We say it all the time. The memes make themselves. Eric Adams makes the memes. He's a star of the show, and this is a show. This show is a soap opera. When Eric Adams says, you know what, I tell my people, I remind them to follow the law. You have to remind people to follow the law. And he has to tell you that he follows the law and he's a police officer, that he has to remind you of that. I mean, again, this is laughable. This is the mayor of New York City. We actually allowed this man to govern the most iconic city in the entire country and the entire world, the economic center, the epicenter of the world. This is your mayor. And again, it goes back to voter apathy. We have to get out there and vote. And the unions have to start endorsing the right candidates. You should start bombarding these unions with phone calls. Like, are you kidding me? This is where you put your money. We're out here putting our feet to the fire, and you support people that are in opposition that make our jobs even harder. Speak up, reach out to them, and look at that idiot in the corner, Banks, on this meme. This is outstanding. Your volume. Yeah, you might.
I said I gotta have to jump off. My head's pounding. Apologize to all you guys, but I think the most damning thing about this video, I mean, this is the most damning statement he made. He said, if anybody around me wasn't following the law, they would no longer be a part of my administration. Sounds like a confession. Who's no longer around him? Ed Caban's no longer around him. Was this just a statement that Ed Caban was actually not following the law? I just want to play it one more time. I just want you to hone in on that statement right there, because that's the statement that matters. Play it one more time, please.
I follow the law. I've been a police officer. I know how important it is to follow the law. That's what I do. I think that people are, if I've had someone around me that I believe violated their oath of office, they would not be in my office.
You heard it?
I
had someone around me who I believe violated the oath of office, they would not be in my office. Did he just admit that that Ed Caban violated his oath of office?
I was thinking the same thing. Again, Eric Adams is very calculated when it comes to his appointments. Everyone, just look at the circle. Everyone that has been appointed in Eric Adams' circle, whether they're an aide or whether they're in charge of New York City Police Department, has been riddled with the shroud and cloud of judgment, and they're also useful idiots. And they don't know it, but they are the fall guys. And right now, Ed Caban is the fall guy. It's up to him at this point if he's going to speak out, but obviously not. If he's getting himself a 7-figure job, he doesn't need to speak out at this point. So Eric Adams is very calculated. And I, you know what? I thought at some point Ed Caban would come forward and start singing and bring everyone down with him because he was going down. But it's clear, I'm pretty confident. I'm sure Mayor Eric Adams, with his contacts, got Ed Caban this job, just like P. Diddy, by giving people contracts if you keep your mouth shut. It appears to me that Ed Caban got himself a very lucrative job through Eric Adams or someone else's political connections to keep their mouth shut. That's my assumption. That's unconfirmed, which means not validated, but that is my assumption based on what I see.
Yeah, it's my opinion that he just admitted that Ed Caban violated his oath of office. That's what I heard there. I mean, so I think that video was damning. So, Eric, any final thoughts before we go? I'm sorry, my head is pounding. I got to go lay down. I'm like,
no, get some rest. Listen, this is the season. People starting to get sick right now. Again, I just want to say thank you so much to the friends listening to the podcast, weighing in with John and myself. I know you're extremely busy. You got a lot going on in your life, and spending 2 to 3 hours and sometimes 4 hours with this podcast. We can't be grateful enough. The amount of support we've gotten from friends and listeners is unbelievable. But we support you also because you help us get this message out and weighing in. We'll be back tomorrow, as always, 8:05 live Eastern time on the West Coast, 5:05. If anybody makes it out to the West Coast, hit me up. Absolutely. You know what? Express your opinions. Please reach out to us, www.thefinanceunfiltered. If you have any inside information, anything you want discussed on the podcast, you know what, John, I hope you feel better. If you're not feeling well tomorrow, we'll keep you advised. We should be here tomorrow, unless John is completely incapacitated, not feeling well. But as of now, we'll be ready to go.
We'll be on. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
That's what I like to hear, brother.
Yeah,
a couple ibuprofens, we'll be ready to go.
Yeah. That's it.
All right, everybody. Listen, thank you so much. Take care. Thank you for all the kind words that we've gotten. We really appreciate it. We'll be back with more tomorrow. Thank you, Eric Adams. Thank you, John Shell. Thank you for Chief Madry for giving us all this great content. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And like we say, everything's a politically created crisis. Make sure you check out our friend Tom Sullivan, Assembly District 23. All right, people, we'll be back at you. Find us on Filtered, 8:05 live tomorrow. See you later. Thanks for tuning in. Tom Sullivan is the Republican, Conservative, and Common Sense Party candidate for New York State Assembly District 23. Tom is a financial professional who served simultaneously in the United States Army Reserve for 30 years and has now retired. His district covers Ozone Park, Lindenwold, Howard Beach, Broad Channel, and the Rockaway Peninsula.
Come November, I would empower our law enforcement agencies to go out there and do their job and not put them or their families or their pensions at risk for doing their jobs. We need drastic change in Albany so that we have a say in this matter and they realize people of New York State will hold them accountable.
The Sullivan family has a legacy of service. Tom served for 30 years protecting and defending the rights of others. Come this November, he has earned your support. This advertisement's paid for by the Friends of Tom Sullivan.
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden, they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?
Law enforcement professionals dedicate their lives to serving and protecting our community. But who's protecting their financial futures? That's where Laidlaw Blue comes in. Our wealth management platform is specifically designed for the law enforcement community. Laidlaw Blue is a division within Laidlaw Wealth Management, run by retired New York City detective John McDermott. His status as a retired detective uniquely positions him to establish a deep connection between Laidlaw Blue and the law enforcement community. Our platform is easy to use and provides a range of financial services, including investment management, retirement planning, and insurance solutions. With Laidlaw Blue, you can secure your financial future and provide for your loved ones. Our team of experienced financial advisors understands the unique challenges and opportunities that law enforcement professionals face. We're here to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning and achieve your goals. Laidlaw Blue. Secure your financial future today. Book a meeting using the QR code displayed or call us directly on 888 901 Blue. That's 888 901 Blue.